In the cold, dark center of the alien prison ship called Rathnor 7, there is a small cell that no one wants to go near. Inside that cell sits a creature unlike anything the guards have ever seen before. Human. His skin is marked with scars. His muscles look hard like stone. His eyes are closed as if he is sleeping, but the guards know better. They know he is listening. They know he is waiting, and they fear what might happen if he decides to move. Around the prison ship, the story spreads fast. It jumps from one whisper to another, and no one speaks too loudly because the walls have ears. The guards tell each other what they saw on the day they caught him, the day they captured the human on that dead gray world where nothing grows and no light shines. That planet was supposed to be empty, but they found him there sitting in the middle of a field of broken bodies, alien bodies, warrior bodies, ripped and crushed. Like paper toys, there were 10 soldiers in that hunting team, and not one of them survived. He did not run when they came for him. He stood there with blood on his hands and a strange smile on his face. He looked at them like they were nothing, like they were just insects flying around his head. One guard remembers it clearly. He says the human looked straight at him and smiled the moment before they fired the stun beams. He says the smile never left his face, even after they broke both his legs during capture. No one knows the human's name. There are no records of him, no ID, no past, no history. The only name that echoes in the metal halls of Rathnor 7 is the one the prisoners gave him, the Savage. Some say he is not really human. Some say he is a ghost or a weapon or something far worse than any species has ever seen. Before he eats the food they give him, but never says a word. He drinks water, but never blinks. He does not sleep, or if he does, then he does it with his eyes open and his back straight. Other prisoners do not go near his cell. Even the worst killers and monsters of the galaxy keep their distance. They avoid the corridor where his door is sealed. They fear that if they look too long into that cell, something inside them will break. One creature tried to speak to him once through the bars. It screamed and laughed and tried to scare the human. After 2 hours, that creature was found in its own cell, whispering to itself, its eyes wide open with terror. It never spoke again. The guards change shifts quickly when it is time to watch the Savage. No one wants to stay near him too long. They say he can hear your thoughts. They say he knows your fear. The youngest guard once asked why they do not just kill him. The others looked at him in silence. Then one said, "We tried," and that was all he would say. No one talks about what happened when they tried to kill the Savage. No one talks about the room that no longer exists. Now the ship's commander stands in front of the viewing window looking down at the cell. He watches the human who still does not move, still does not speak. The commander is not a weak man. He has fought wars across 7 systems. He has crushed uprisings, burned colonies, and destroyed rebel fleets. But as he looks at the human in the cell, he feels something he has not felt in years. He feels doubt. He feels fear. He turns to his science officer and asks the same question he has asked every day since the human arrived. What is he hiding? What is he waiting for? The officer shakes his head again. Their scanners show nothing strange. The human has no weapons, no implants, no tech. There is nothing inside him but muscle, bone, and blood. But still he survived a dozen elite hunters. Still he took down warriors in powered armor. With just his bare hands, still he smiles, like he knows a secret no one else can understand. The commander knows the crew is afraid. He knows morale is dropping fast. He hears the whispers at night in the halls. They say the human is not a prisoner. They say he's a storm waiting to happen. They say he let himself be caught and that he is only biding his time. They say when he finally moves, there will be no stopping him. The commander does not believe in ghost stories. He believes in facts and strategy and control. But deep inside, something tells him the crew might be right. Something tells him this human is not like the others. Something tells him that locking him in a cell might have been the worst mistake they ever made. So the commander decides it is time to find out what this creature really is. He orders a full team to prepare for interrogation. The strongest telepath, the hardest torturer, the most advanced machines. He wants to break this thing down, strip it to the core, learn its secrets, and maybe, just maybe, understand how it became what it is. The human opens his eyes as if he heard the order across the ship. His eyes are dark and empty like the void between stars. He looks up slowly toward the camera in the corner of his cell, and for the first time since his capture, he speaks. Only 3 words come out, but they are clear, strong, and cold. "I am ready." The interrogation chamber on Rathnor 7 is deep below the prisoner cells, surrounded by thick steel and walls lined with pain. Tech old and new, this room has made leaders beg, soldiers scream, and monsters confess. Crimes no one even asked about. The chair at the center is designed for full control. Metal straps lock arms, legs, neck, Even fingers. It can inject pain in a nerve, simulate drowning, break thoughts, twist memories, erase pride, everything. But kill. For guards walk in slowly, dragging the human. Between them his feet are bare, his clothes torn, his body thin. But somehow strong, he does not fight. He does not speak. He lets them chain him into the chair like it is a seat at a dinner table. His eyes move, slowly scanning the room. And then they close again like he is falling asleep. The head interrogator steps in now, a tall insect-like being with 6 arms and a voice that sounds like dry wind. He has cracked the minds of diplomats, warriors, assassins, spies, and traitors. He thinks this human will be no different. He leans close to the prisoner and whispers, "You will tell me everything by the end of this cycle. Your mind will be an open book." The human opens one eye, looks at the alien, and says, "I already told you I'm ready." The interrogator sneers and taps a panel. The first wave begins. Pain surges through the human's nerves. Machines light up, measuring heart rate, brain waves, muscle tension. But nothing changes. The human's body jerks. But he does not scream. He does not cry. He does not even flinch. He looks at the interrogator and smiles. "Turn it up," says the officer behind the glass wall. "Give him the full sweep. Level 5. The machines grow louder. The light around the chair turns red. Beams of heat slice across his skin. Electricity crawls up his spine. Needles pierce his nerves. Memory breakers launch dream poison into his brain. It should be enough to drive a soldier insane in seconds. But the human laughs, a deep, slow laugh, like he is enjoying it. The science team, watching from the control room, exchange nervous looks. One whispers, "This is not possible." Another says, "He is breaking the machine." The machines spark. The readings twist. Some sensors shut down, and the head interrogator steps back in shock. He asks, "What are you?" The human lifts his head slowly and replies, "I'm the mistake you made when you brought me here." Without warning, the power in the room flickers. The lights dim, then turn bright, then blink again, as if something is wrong. Deep in the ship's systems, the control panels fail, and the steel doors slam shut, locking the officers inside. The guards outside try to override the lock, but the system says access denied. Inside the chamber, the human begins to move. He leans forward and snaps one of the arm restraints like it is made of paper. The scientists scream. Behind the wall, the head interrogator reaches for a weapon, but he is too slow. The second strap breaks, then the third. The chair sparks and smokes, and the human stands free. He looks around at the walls, the weapons, the guards, the cameras. Then he says softly, "You try to break me now. It's my turn." He steps forward, grabs the insect alien by the throat, and lifts him into the air. The other guards inside the chamber rush and firing stun beams that bounce off his skin like water hitting rock. The alarms across the ship begin to howl. Red lights blink everywhere. Doors start locking. Crew members run towards safe zones. The commander hears the warning and freezes for a moment. Then he shouts, "What happened?" Someone yells back, "He escaped from the chair, so we do not know how." The commander orders every available unit to Sector 9, where the interrogation room is located, but by the time they arrive, the door has already been opened from the inside. Guard or down. The interrogator is unconscious, and the human is gone. Only one message is left on the wall, burned into the metal with heat so strong the walls still glow red. It says, "I told you I was ready." Now the ship is on alert. Drones fly through the halls. Search bots scan every corner. The commander orders the ship to lockdown mode, but one of the tech officers says the system is being controlled from the inside. The commander asks, "By who?" And the officer replies softly, "We think it's him." Across the ship, systems start to fail. Doors open and close by themselves. Security turrets turn on their own men. Cameras loop the same image over and over. Someone is inside the ship's brain. Someone is watching them all. Someone is hunting. The commander tries to contact central control, but the signal is jammed. He knows now this is not just a prisoner. This is a war inside the walls, and the enemy walks like a ghost, wearing the face of a man. No one knows how he got in. No one knows how to stop him. They only know one thing: he is not hiding anymore. The prisoners in the lower cells cheer as the power flickers. Some of them cry out, "The savage is free. The savage is coming." Others fall silent and kneel like they're praying to something they do not understand. One prisoner whispers, "He was never trapped. He was waiting for this moment." The commander calls for the ship's elite guard, 12 soldiers in full combat armor, each trained to kill. Without mercy, they gather at the central command deck, ready for orders. But before the commander can speak, the lights above them go dark. The screen in front of them lights up with the face of the human. He looks straight at them and says, "You should have let me rest." Then the screen goes black, and one by one the soldiers begin to disappear from the cameras. One in hallway 6-1, near the reactor 1, near the escape pods, all gone. Without sound, without trace, the savage does not run. He walks calm and slow, like a storm with a plan. The commander now feels what the guards felt, what the prisoners felt, what even the machines might feel if they could. He feels fear, and he knows the human is not just loose on the ship, he is in control. The lights on Rathnor 7 blink like dying stars as fear moves faster than the alarms. In every corridor, soldiers rush with their weapons drawn, but their eyes show doubt, their steps are unsure, because the thing they are hunting is not a man to them. He is something worse than a nightmare. He is the savage, and he is no longer in chains. Cameras try to find him, systems try to scan him, but nothing works. Footage loop systems glitch, audio plays backwards. The ship's AI says one thing again and again: unknown signal detected, unknown signal detected, unknown signal detected, and no one knows what it means. The commander stands at the heart of the control deck, surrounded by officers typing commands, shouting orders, trying to trap a ghost, but the human is always one step ahead, always behind the next corner, always watching, always waiting. 2 guards vanish near the engine room, their weapons left behind melted like wax. Another team disappears on deck 4. Nothing is found except a trail of red handprints across the wall. One tech officer says, "Maybe it is a warning." Another says, "Maybe it is a game." And the commander begins to understand something. This man does not want to escape. Not yet. He wants him to feel what he felt inside that cage. In a silent hallway, a group of armored soldiers walk in tight formation, searching every shadow. Their leader says, "Stay sharp, stay close, eyes forward." Then he blinks, and the soldier on his left is gone. No sound, no scream, just empty space where a man once stood. He turns around, but his team is already falling one by one, each taken by something they cannot see, cannot hear, cannot stop. Then the hallway lights turn red, and a voice echoes through the speakers, a voice calm, low, slow, like it is almost bored, and it says, "I gave you a chance." The command deck watches this unfold, helpless behind screens that show too little too late. The commander asks, "How is he doing this?" And someone replies, "Sir, he is inside the walls, inside the code. The human is running the ship better than we can." Panic spreads like fire. One officer tries to send a distress signal, but the comms are silent. Another tries to call backup from the fleet, but the fleet is too far. The commander grabs the rail in front of him, his hand shaking, and he whispers, "He was never the prisoner we were." Meanwhile, deep in the medical bay, a small creature with 6 eyes and 4 arms huddles under a table. It is a medic, not a fighter, never wanted to be part of war, just wanted to heal wounds and fix bones. It hears something, footsteps, soft, slow, steady. The lights above it flicker, once, twice, then go dark. The creature holds its breath, too scared to move, too scared to scream. And then it sees him, tall, silent, standing in the doorway. The human looks down at the medic and says softly, "You fixed my arm, didn't you?" The medic nods, too afraid to lie. The human tilts his head and then turns away, vanishing into the dark without another word. The medic sits shaking, confused, alive. Back in the upper deck, soldiers try to regroup. They seal doors, set traps, fill corridors with gas lasers, drones, mines. They build a cage out of fear and pray it holds. But when they check the sensor, something is already wrong. The human is behind the trap, not inside it, and he is walking toward the central core. The core of Rathnor 7 is the heart of the ship, glowing with power, humming with energy, guarded by 10 of the best warriors in the Empire. They wear armor that can stop tank shields that block plasma. They have fought in wars across 100 planets and never lost. Now they wait outside the door, weapons ready, eyes fixed. Then the lights go out, and they hear footsteps from inside the room, not outside, from the core itself. And before they can react, the door opens, and they are pulled into the dark. No screams follow, no alarms, no shots, just silence. And when the next team arrives, they find no one, only weapons dropped and a message burned in the floor. It says, "This is not revenge, this is balance." The commander reads the message and knows the human is not just attacking, he is sending a message, he is teaching them something, and that lesson is simple: do not cage what you do not understand, do not hunt what you cannot kill. The crew begins to break. Officers question orders, guards refuse to leave safe zones, systems run on backup power. Only the AI speaks now, and it says again, "Unknown signal detected, unknown signal spreading, unknown signal expanding." The commander stands alone. Now, most of his staff gone or missing. He looks at the ship map and sees red marks spreading like infection areas, lost areas, silent areas that belong to the savage now, and he knows the ship is no longer his. The walls, the lights, the doors, even the air belong to something else now. He opens a channel to the whole ship and speaks to the human, hoping maybe words can stop what guns cannot. He says, "We surrender, name your terms, tell us what you want." And the reply comes quickly like it was already waiting. "I want you to remember." Then silence again, long, cold silence that feels heavier than war. The commander falls into his chair, defeated, confused, broken. He does not understand why the human has not killed them. All he does not understand why they're still breathing. And then he realizes the truth. It was never about escape. It was never about blood. It was about fear, about respect, about warning. And somewhere in the dark, the human walks alone, still calm, still watching. And he knows the galaxy will hear what happened here. He knows they will listen when the commander tells them the story of the man who walked through a prison ship and took it apart piece by piece, without an army, without a weapon, without mercy. The savage walks deeper into the ship, not to run, not to hide, but to wait for what comes next. Fear is now the strongest thing on Rathnor 7, stronger than the walls, stronger than the weapons, stronger than the commander's voice. It moves through every hallway, it breathes inside every room. The crew no longer speaks. Above whispers, they hide in corners, stare at cameras, wait for footsteps that never come. Because no one knows where he is, no one knows what he wants, and no one knows who will vanish next. The human is no longer hunted now. He is the hunter. The halls are his playground. The doors open for him. The lights follow him. The ship answers him. Like he was always its master, he does not run. He does not rush. He walks slowly like he has all the time in the world, and maybe he does. Some say he is already gone, that he left through an escape pod and watches them from the stars. Others say he is in the vents above their heads, listening to every breath. And one prisoner screams that he saw the human's eyes in his dream and woke up bleeding from his nose. The commander sits in the war room, surrounded by silence. The maps show nothing. The sensors are blind, and the cameras still loop the same 5 seconds from hours ago. He stares at the screen where the last message was burned in smoke and code. "I want you to remember." And he does remember. He remembers everything. He remembers the cold planet where they found him, the gray sand, the bodies, the way the man stood still among the dead. Not shaking, not hiding, just waiting. He remembers the cold look in the human's eyes as they shocked him, shot him, beat him, chained him. And still he smiled like pain was a joke, like they were children poking a sleeping lion. He remembers the guards who begged to be moved off duty, the officers who asked to leave, the prisoners who cried in their cells when they passed the human's door. He remembers the scream that echoed through the ship, the moment the machines failed, the moment the chair broke and the cell became a storm. Now, he remembers what it feels like to lose control. The lights above flicker again, a small thing now, but it makes the officers flinch a single blink, and everyone thinks it is the end. A tech officer stands suddenly holding a tracker and shouts, "I found him. He is in the cryo deck section 7, and the commander jumps to his feet and orders a full team to move. 10 soldiers respond, fast, armed with stun lances and plasma nets. They march like machines, cold and trained, ready to crush anything. But their eyes still show doubt. They move through the quiet halls towards Section 7, where the cryo deck holds the frozen prisoners of old wars and dead worlds. They enter the room, the cold fog rolls around their boots. And for a moment, everything is still too still, and then they see that the glass pods are open, 10 of them shattered from the inside. Not from time, not from age, but from something else. And one soldier says softly, "What did he do?" A voice answers from behind them. It is calm and low like always, and it says, "I woke them up." The soldiers turn fast, but the fog is thick and shapes move inside its shadows that should not be alive, but our hands reach from the mist, eyes glow in the dark, and before they can fire, they are gone, pulled into the cold silence like they were never there. Back in the control room, the screens go dark again. The tech officer cries out, "We lost them, we lost the whole squad," and the commander grips the edge of the table, his teeth tight, his skin pale, and he whispers, "How did he wake them? How did he know they were here?" And no one answers. Somewhere in the ship, the human walks with slow steps. Behind him walk others, creatures forgotten, creatures frozen in time, now awake and moving, silent and strong like ghosts in armor. Some are missing parts, some glow with fire, some crawl, some float, but they all follow him and none speak. The human leads them through the power decks, through the sleeping quarters, through the vents and shafts, like he has walked these paths before, like he knows every inch of this prison. He does not lead them to kill, no. He is showing them something, teaching them something. The crew does not understand it yet, but the message is growing. Do not cage what you do not understand. Do not fear what you have not met. Do not think you are gods. One alien noble tries to steal a fighter pod, but the door does not open. Instead, the human is already there, standing in the dark, watching the noble shake and beg and cry. The human says one thing before turning away: I am not here for revenge. I am here for truth. The noble is left alive, but something breaks in his mind, and he never speaks again. In the deep storage bay, a young mechanic finds the human standing near a power terminal. The mechanic freezes, holding a tool, unsure what to do. The human looks at him and says, "You have never hurt anyone, go," and the boy runs and never looks back. More and more across the ship, signs appear, marks burned into metal, written in blood, carved in wires, the same words over and over: remember this day, remember this fear, remember me. And the crew begins to understand that this is no simple breakout, no escape, no madness. This is a story being written in steel and silence and shadow. The commander stares at the empty war table surrounded by screens that show nothing, and he asks no one in particular, "What is he?" And someone behind him says softly, "He is the end of our pride." The commander breathes slow and says, "Then we deserve it." And somewhere in the belly of the ship, the human walks with his strange army of forgotten prisoners, not to destroy, not to conquer, not to burn, but to teach, to warn, to show the galaxy the humans are not what they once thought. The savage has become the storm. The galaxy is wide and full of stories. Some fade in days, some last for years. But very few become warnings whispered across systems, told in fear, and never questioned. This is now one of them, the story of the human called the Savage, the one who walked through Rathnor 7 and turned a prison into a lesson. But before Rathnor, before the blood and silence and broken steel, there were other stories, hidden files, buried reports, names crossed out, and eyes turn away. These stories were not believed, not trusted, not shared, but they were real, and now someone is looking at them again. In a hidden chamber far from the chaos, a data officer reads old records. The screen glows faintly. Her claws tap fast. Her breath is sharp. She is scared but curious. She wants to understand what this human really is, because no one breaks an empire ship alone. No one moves like a shadow through locked doors and firewalls. No one commands fear without saying a word, unless there's something more than just a man. She finds the first file buried deep under black codes. It tells of a battle station lost to a single attacker. No survivors, only recordings left behind, broken and glitching. But one image is clear: a figure standing in smoke, eyes, glowing smile, calm, walking through fire like it was air. The next file is older, marked as myth. It speaks of a pirate fleet crushed in a storm of metal and flame. No known ships in the area, no known weapons fired. But when scavengers arrived, they found bodies, torn, metal sliced, and one symbol carved into the captain's throne, a single mark shaped like a human hand. The third file is a message, a voice log broken in parts, filled with static and pain. It says, "We tried to capture him. We tried everything. He smiled. He walked through us. He tore through doors with bare hands. He looked at me, and I forgot how to breathe." Then the message ends with a scream. The data officer closes the screen, her hands shaking now. She looks around the dark room, afraid of being seen, afraid of being right. She knows now this man, this creature, was not made by war. He was shaped by it. Something happened to him. Something turned him into this thing that walks through walls and fear. She sends the files to the commander with a message. He is not new. He is old, very old, and he is not alone. Back in the command deck, the commander opens the files, reads the message, watches the old videos, sees the same eyes, the same walk, the same stillness, and something inside him breaks. The truth is heavy, heavier than failure, heavier than loss. The truth is that this human has done this before, and they were warned. The AI speaks now, not with fear, but with respect. It says his name is Dax Monroe, record found, status exiled from Earth, charges classified, mission unknown, last seen near the ruins of Station Varn, where a black hole opened after an unknown battle. Dax Monroe, the name, now has weight, now has fire, now has meaning, and the commander whispers it like a curse, like a prayer. He asks the AI, why was he exiled? And the AI answers, access denied. Dax walks through the power core halls now, alone, his followers gone back to the shadows. He moves with purpose, each step planned, each turn silent. He knows where everything is. He knows the system better than its makers. He walks like a builder, like a ghost. He reaches the heart of the ship where the engines sleep, where the control links pulse like veins, and there he sits cross-legged eyes, closed hands on his knees like a monk in thought, and he waits. The ship slows the hum, quiets the lights dim, and everything listens, even the metal, even the code, even the fear. Then the voice of the commander fills the halls again, soft, tired, honest. He says, "Dax Monroe, we know who you are, we know what you have done, and what was done to you," and he waits. Dax opens his eyes, looks at the camera, and says, "Then you know why this had to happen." The commander says, "No, I don't, help me understand." And for the first time, Dax speaks more than a sentence. His voice is calm, clear, filled with ice and fire. He says, "I fought for Earth. I gave everything I had. I watched friends die. I killed monsters and men, and I believe in the mission until I saw what that mission really was. They used us, they made us into weapons, then threw us away. When the war was done, I was not exiled, I was erased, and I came here not to destroy, but to remind you that every prison you build, every lie you tell, every secret you bury has a cost, and today you paid part of it." The commander stands silent. He cannot argue. He cannot fight. He can only listen. Dax stands now tall and calm. He looks around at the walls, at the lights, at the ship that he now owns, and he says, "I am done here." He walks to the nearest hangar, not running, not hiding, just walking, and the doors open for him. The fighters do not fire, the guards do not stop him. They only step aside, some drop their weapons, some kneel, some look away. They all feel something they do not understand, something like awe. He enters a small ship, an old model, fast and quiet, and as it rises into the stars, the name, Dax Monroe, spreads through the galaxy like fire on dry. Leaves stories, grow warnings, travel, and empires begin to worry. They ask who he really was. They ask how many more like him are out there. They ask what Earth did and why. No one answers. Only one thing is certain. The savage is gone, but he is not finished. The stars around Rathnor 7 shine like tiny scars in the dark sky, cold and distant, uncaring of what just happened inside the silent ship. The crew remains frozen, not by force, but by choice, because no one wants to move, no one wants to be the one who speaks first after he is gone. Dax Monroe is no longer in the ship, but something of him remains a weight in the air, of pressure in the halls. The crew walks carefully, like he might return if they step too hard or breathe too loud. The commander sits alone in his chamber, the lights low, the silence deep. He stares at the last message Dax left burned into the control wall, not with words this time, but with a symbol the shape of a broken chain wrapped around a human fist. He touches the symbol slowly and whispers the name again, not just a name now, but a warning. Dax Monroe, the man who broke Rathnor 7 without an army, without a weapon, without mercy. Elsewhere across the stars, his name begins to echo loud in secret rooms, loud in dark bars, loud in frightened council chambers. The empires that once laughed at the stories now hold quiet meetings to ask the same question: where is he going next? On a mining moon in Sector 9, a broadcast reaches a broken old war veteran. He hears the message and smiles, the kind of smile that knows pain. He says he is back, and the others around him begin to prepare, not out of fear, but out of loyalty, because they know him and they remember. In a hidden lab on a dead asteroid, scientists rush to delete files, erase names, burn the past. But it is too late. His face appears on every screen. His voice speaks through every channel. And all he says is, "I remember you." A criminal lord in the Iron Belt opens his vault and finds it empty. Every stolen artifact, every secret map, every bit of tech gone, and only a message left behind: tell Earth, I am not coming home. I am bringing home with me. The leaders of Earth receive no message. They do not speak his name. They do not confirm his past. But in the highest room, on the tallest tower, a single man looks out over the clouds and says, "We should have killed him when we had the chance." Dax moves through space like a shadow. No fleet, no flag, no plan. Yet somehow everything changes around him. Systems go, silent stations fall quiet, old enemies vanish, and new ones grow nervous because no one knows what he wants. No one knows where he is, only that wherever he walks, the stars feel smaller. A small pirate ship dares to chase him. It follows his trail through asteroid fields and empty moons. Then it finds him alone, drifting in a small vessel, engines, cold lights. Off the pirates laugh, think he is helpless, think he is broken. But when they board, they find only silence and red marks on the walls, marks that lead them in circles until the last one screams. The ship explodes hours later, and no one knows how. Back on Rathnor, 7, the repairs begin, but nothing feels normal. The crew talks in quiet voices. The walls are cleaned, but the marks are still there, deep under the paint, deep under the metal. Like scars, the prisoners refuse to speak. Some sit and stare at the ceiling, others scratch symbols into the floor. All of them changed, none of them the same. The commander writes a report, one he knows will never be read. He writes the truth and then deletes it, because truth does not matter when the galaxy is afraid. He steps down, gives his rank away, walks in his silence, because he knows he failed not by losing control, but by thinking he ever had it. In the far edge of known space, a ship lands on a ruined planet, one with no name, no light, no hope. It is a graveyard of broken machines and shattered towers, and from the smoke walks a man in black with eyes like ice and steps like thunder. He walks to the center of the ruin and stands still as if listening to the ground. Then he kneels and places his hand on the dirt. The earth hums, the wind shifts, and somewhere deep below, something wakes, something old, something powerful, something human. Dax speaks to the shadows around him. He says it is time, and voices answer from the dark, voices rough and tired, but loyal. They say, "We are ready," and the ground begins to crack. These are not soldiers, they are not machines, they are not saviors, they are the forgotten, the erased, the lost children of a war no one admits happened, and they follow him not because he's strong, not because he is right, but because he never gave up. Together, they move across the planet, fixing what was broken, opening what was sealed, and the stars above them blink like they know what is coming. One by one, ships begin to disappear near that world. Probes vanish, messages are lost, and warnings go unanswered, because fear keeps the bold away, and curiosity is not strong enough to fight the stories. Soon the word spreads again, not just about a man, not just about a name, but about a force building in the dark of fire. Under the ashes, a storm forming in silence. Some call it a rebellion, some call it revenge, but those who truly understand call it balance. And at the center of it all stands Dax Monroe, with eyes that remember everything and a voice that speaks only when needed. He does not want power, he does not want war, he wants the truth, and he will burn through every lie to find it. In the quiet space between stars, where light barely reaches and no map dares to draw borders, a fleet begins to form, not made of warships, not built by governments, not owned by empires, but something else, something older, something deeper. Ships, once lost, now found. Ships, once broken, now rebuilt, all drawn by one name, Dax Monroe. They come without banners, without orders, without payment. They come because they heard the voice, they read the message, they saw the fire return to the eyes of the forgotten, and they followed it across silence and fear, because they believed not in victory, not in glory, but in the need to rise again. Dax stands at the edge of a cliff on a cracked moon, wind blowing dust across his boots, eyes locked on the sky above, as ship after ship lands, without sound. Some are sleek, some are heavy, some are patched with scars and wires, but all of them move like they have purpose, like they have been waiting for this moment for far too long. Beside him stands a woman with silver hair and a scar across her throat. She speaks through a small device, but her voice is strong. She says, "They came just like you said." They would. He nods once, says nothing. She turns to look at him, and as they want a leader, he replies softly, "They need a reason, not a ruler." In the command room of a powerful Empire station far from the gathering, the High Council listens to the reports, each one worse than the last. Old bases, reclaimed secret projects, exposed traitors confessing without being touched, and every file leads back to the same place, the same man, the same storm, Dax Monroe. Some want to attack. Now, some want to hide. Others say send spies, send assassins, send fleets. But none agree on how to stop a ghost that walks in daylight, a man who does not hide, who does not lie, who does not forget. The oldest among them stands and says, "We tried to erase him once, it did not work. We turned him into a myth, and now he is back, more dangerous than ever, not because of his strength, not because of his rage, but because he gave the forgotten something we never could. He gave them purpose." Back on the moon, Dax walks through the hangars, speaks to engineers, helps wounded soldiers, checks every bolt, every weapon, every piece like it matters, because to him it does. He does not give speeches, he does not wear medals, he listens and remembers every face, every name, every story. A child with robotic legs runs up to him, holds out a small drawing. It shows a ship flying through fire with a man standing on top smiling. He takes it, kneels down, thanks the child, and folds the paper, carefully placing it inside his coat like it is treasure. That night a council of the willing gathers around a fire, not because they must, but because they choose to. They share stories, eat together, laugh, like people who forgot how for a long time. Then silence falls, and all eyes turn to Dax. He stands slow and quiet, looks at the fire, and then at the stars. He says, "We were never meant to be weapons. We were people before the wars, before the orders, before the lies. They took our names, they took our homes, they took our future, but they never took our will. And now we take it back, not with hate, not with fear, but with truth." He tells them, this is not a war for power. This is not a fight for revenge. This is a mission to reveal what was hidden, to free who were silenced, to bring justice without becoming monsters. Some will call us rebels, he says. Some will call us terrorists. Some will say we are mad. But let them speak, let them fear, let them run, because we are not shadows anymore. We are the light that walks with fire, and we will not stop. The next morning, the fleet lifts into the sky, slow and steady, a wave rising from the dust, each ship marked with a new symbol, the broken chain, the closed fist, the sign of the truth that would not stay buried. They move without being seen, without being tracked, without being stopped, and across the stars, old systems fall, quiet governors vanish, smugglers surrender, entire planets shift without a single shot, because fear of one man becomes faith in many. On Rathnor 7, the old commander, now retired, watches the screen in silence. The prison has become a station of peace, a place for talk, for healing, for truth, and no one forgets who made it possible. Every wall still holds the story, every door still whispers the name. The Savage. But now they say it with respect, not fear now. They teach it to their children, not to scare them, but to show them what one man can do when everything is taken and nothing is left but the will to stand. Back on Earth, the Council sits in silence as the stars change around them. Satellites fall, data leaks, truth rises, and the people begin to ask questions about the war, about the soldiers, about the ones who never came home. And one name rises again and again, Dax Monroe. He never returns to Earth, not because he cannot, but because he chooses not to. Instead, he sends messages short and clear. Tell them, I remember. Tell them, I forgive none of it. Years pass, the fire grows into a movement, the name becomes a legend, and the legend becomes a new future, one not built by empires, but by the broken who refuse to stay broken, by the lost who refuse to stay silent, by the savage who refuse to kneel. And in the far edge of the galaxy, where stars are still being born, a child looks up and asks a question, who was Dax Monroe? And the answer comes soft and strong. He was a human who gave the galaxy something it forgot. Hope.